What up? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast with Justin and Nat and Karima, though she's not here with us today. It's been a while, Justin, since they've had just me and you.
It's been a while. The streets was calling. They was asking for it. But
The original duo. Okay. Justin, the NBA was lively today. It was lively. So let's start with our dubs. I don't know if they're the most exciting news of the day, but let's start with the dubs because this is a Warriors podcast. So
Mhm.
Warriors win their game today. No Steph, no Draymond, no Gary Payton the second. But they still win. Clay had a very nice scoring game. I was surprised that they played Clay Thompson. Were you?
A little bit, but I guess it was they're probably just leaving it up to the players. How you feeling, whatever, and he
Chris
probably
Paul
well,
too.
yeah, they probably were just like, I want to play, and
Yeah. I felt like once we knew that the Warriors were not getting the 10 seed, which was like by halftime, that they should have just like not played anymore. But
mhm, they had to make it interesting.
yeah. Because I mean, like once you saw like the Lakers were not giving up that lead, the Suns weren't giving up their lead, and that's what happens. And I'm talking about the other games that happen in the Western Conference, but like that's what happens like in these games where you need Kevin Durant, even though it was like Brad Beal who went off, but it's like when you need Kevin Durant, a Kevin Durant led team to win a game, when you need a LeBron James team led team to win a game, when you need a Steph Curry led team to win a game, like this is when those things show up, right? Like
Hmm.
this is their playing ground. This is what those guys are used to, which is why they are some of the best players ever in NBA history.
Facts, facts. I got nothing to
And
say.
the moment, at least for Zion, Brandon Ingram, if you give him a little grace, like he's just coming off an injury. But really, Zion, I mean, look, he struggled. Like Draymond was sort of locking him down in the last game versus the Warriors. He
Yep.
did not really show up tonight. Like if you're going to be that guy, you got to play in these kinds of games because all you guys had to do was win your game, you
Hmm.
know, and you're in and you're not worried about a play-in. And now they have the potential to not even make the playoffs.
Yeah, Zion is one of those guys. It's like he bullies his way to the rim, and like that's his main offensive attack. And when you're going up against guys who know that and they have the athleticism and the strength to kind of like negate it, he don't really got a lot of counters. It's like if he gets to his left hand, it's over. But if you don't let him get to his left hand, he can struggle. Like we have seen from him the last two games. So I think Draymond is a great matchup for him. Every time they play, it seems like Draymond locks him up. I don't want to jinx it, but like I can't remember a time where Zion really went off on Draymond. So knock on wood, let's hope that continues if they end up seeing them in that second playing game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of talk, Lakers fans, people debating whether LA just needs to try to like blow that game. They're not going to try to blow that game. I saw you tweet about that too. I just don't think they are. Like, you can't risk it. I mean,
Mhm.
they could feel like they have good chances against the Warriors, but like, to me, you shouldn't feel like that. Like, I
Right.
know that Anthony Davis didn't play in these games, but like, come on. The last time y'all guys won the play-in, it was a shorthanded Warriors, and you won on like a Braun buzzer. Same thing. Like the close
Mhm.
game this year, it was like Braun free throws. And like, yeah, you might get those and you'll be in LA, but like the Warriors have played you close in LA. Like it's just you
Mhm.
cannot assume you're going to beat them. And I don't think LeBron is going to make that assumption.
Nah, I don't think he's going to take the chance.
You take your
Um,
chances and see if like you can do something different with Denver this year. I don't think so. I don't think they get swept again this year, but you're probably not going to beat them.
right. And I mean, friend of the show, Nick Wright, I think he made a point, I think, a few months ago talking about the Lakers in Denver and just pretty much saying like you guys should try to get them early while LeBron is still fresh, while AD is still fresh, relatively early in the playoffs. You get Denver early, and instead of Western Conference Finals, LeBron's out of gas and you get swept because he can't close games. They might have a better chance against them if they see him in the first round, or at least they might think that way.
Well,
So maybe
they
they just
will
go for it.
definitely have more time between games in the first round because
That too. Yeah.
as the rounds and like if you get them rested, they can definitely give you more. Like
Mhm.
as the rounds get deeper and there's less opponents, you're not getting 2-3 nights off between games.
Yep.
So but look, they have to first beat the Pelicans. They're already in New Orleans. I'm assuming they're staying there and not flying back to LA to fly back to the Pel. I tweeted that and someone said, yeah, but I don't know if that's been officially reported from the team. But I feel like it would be silly to fly back to LA to fly back to New Orleans on Tuesday for Tuesday
Yeah. That'll be dumb.
because
That'll
it's already Sunday. So what you'd be flying back tonight and then flying back at like now. So
That'll make sense. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm assuming they're just like in New Orleans through Tuesday. So, you know, the Pels, they cannot like that they have to play the Lakers or if not the Warriors. Like it's easy to be like, yeah, we beat the Warriors, but that cannot be a good feeling. That cannot,
Mhm.
and that cannot be a good feeling for Pelicans fans either when Steph has ended your seasons before. And like, look, I'm looking for a reason to get back at CJ anyway for all that talking. So, one game at a time, and I really don't want to look ahead. And I want to make it very, very clear because I feel like I'm seeing lots of Warriors fans being cocky
Mhm.
on the timeline. I do not think any game is easy. I
Yeah.
don't even think a herderless, monkless Kings are easy in the Sacramento. I do not think it's easy. But I don't think it requires Steph to go nuclear either. Like
Mhm.
I think if the Warriors just
Play a
play,
solid game. Mhm.
they can win that game, but they need to be focused. They cannot do all the stupid turnovers. They have to be really, 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 super focused. But it is definitely, I think, a good thing that they don't have to like fly anywhere and they're just driving up the road
Yep.
to
That definitely helps them.
Sacramento.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they just play solid game, like you said, don't turn the ball over. That was a big reason why they went down 0-2 to the Kings in the playoffs last year. Just careless turnovers, and then the Kings just scored a bunch of points off of those turnovers. If you take care of the ball, play solid defense, they should have the talent advantage, the experience advantage, all of these advantages over the Kings. So,
Right,
um,
the Kings are undermanned. Like,
right,
like
exactly.
if we don't have Gary back, that's unfortunate. But like, just because like you can throw him on De'Aaron Fox or whoever, but like the Kings are
And
undermanned.
they're undermanned, and they're missing really the one guy the Warriors really struggle with the
Malik
Kings.
Monk.
Like De'Aaron Fox went off every other game or something like that with the Warriors, and he's obviously their star. But like Malik Monk was a guy who was consistently giving the Warriors issues because of his ability to get downhill at such a fast pace and then make decisions off the dribble, like pass it or shoot it at the rim or something. They really could not contain him in that series. They struggled at least until the very end. So without him, it definitely is in the Warriors' favor. They don't have to deal with him. So and he's getting replaced by like Keon Ellis or some other guy who may be a decent player, but is not as good of an offensive player as Malik Monk. So
What do you think about Sabonis TJD matchup?
um, it's going to take TJD just locking in on the scouting because Sabonis is one of those guys who's he does the same. He does a lot of the same things. Like he's a very good player and he's good at what he does. But once he's like Zion, it's like once you figure out he only wants to go left, you take that left away. He doesn't have a lot of counters to it. And when you take away guys like Herter, guys like Monk, who he leverages their ability to shoot and their ability to score to create openness for himself. If without those guys, he should be even easier to guard. So um, he should be getting some pointers from Loon because Loon knows how to do it. Draymond knows how to do it, and as long as he stays out of foul trouble, I think he'll be fine. And I mean, also like they sell out to stop the Splash Bros with the Kings. We saw that last season in the playoffs. They leave guys open. They left Loon open. They left Draymond open, stuff like that. So TJD should be able to roll to the basket and get a lot of easy points.
And they weren't utilizing Trayce earlier in the season during those matchups. So um it will definitely be a different look for the Kings. We know Trayce is really good at like reading the scouting report, watching tape. He talks about it all the time. So we do trust him to do that. Yeah, go win one at a time. I think there's this assumption that the Lakers are going to beat the Pelicans. And
Mhm.
it's hard not to think that after watching the shellacking today, which we thought was possible. We all thought it was possible, but we were like, okay, giving them a chance, and they no.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming even though 80 appeared to have some back spasms, that he will still be playing.
Yeah, he said himself that he's still gonna play. Um, yeah, the play-in is dangerous though, because even if they have that advantage, the Pels can get hot. Any team can get hot in the play-in, like in a one-game scenario. So it's dangerous. That's why teams don't want to be in the play-in. So a lot of people are assuming the Lakers are going to win, but you never know. The Pelicans are still a 50-win team. They are the higher seed. They're going to be at home, so you never know. They could beat the Lakers.
They could. Um, it's hard to beat a team twice in the same week.
Hmm.
Coming off that, you have to imagine they'll be extra motivated. Um, but you're putting LeBron in another one game situation.
Yep.
I'd put my money on the Lakers winning that game, I think. Um, but we'll see.
Yeah. If AD's healthy, I would put my money on the Lakers winning that game. They have absolutely nobody for Anthony Davis. Um, the guys who are athletic enough aren't big enough, and the guys who are big enough aren't athletic enough. So, and the same thing with LeBron. Like, they just don't have anybody that can match those two guys. So, I would put my money on Lakers too.
Yeah. Well, if the Warriors, let's just talk this through a little bit. So, if the Warriors were to beat Sacramento, let's look at each opponent. That game will be in Sacramento. Okay. If
Hmm.
it's a second game, it could either be the Pelicans or it could be the Lakers. Now, if it's the Pelicans, I feel like the Warriors have a couple of things in their favor. Um, they lost the last game, so I feel like they could do their Grizzlies thing to us this year where they come back now and win the final game.
Yeah.
But not even really that, just more so that, like, I mean, the Warriors really let that game slip away in the second quarter, and a lot of it too was turnovers. A lot of it though also, and we didn't really talk about this on the last episode, but we should have, was Trayce not playing. And
Yep.
instead Kerr going to these other lineups. Trayce was at what, like a plus 22 in that game, something like that. Let me just confirm that. Um,
I think he only played 22 minutes. I don't know if he was a plus 22.
hold on.
I think he was like plus 8 or something like that.
He
He was
had a
plus
high
12.
plus 12.
Hmm.
Okay.
In 22 minutes, he was a plus 12. Yeah.
Okay. So, what game was that? Friday night,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So yeah. So Trace had the highest plus minus on the team.
Yep.
And Steve Kerr just didn't play him enough minutes and inexplicably took him out at times that really
Didn't make
didn't
sense.
seem to make a lot of sense. Brandon Pajimski played more minutes than him and was a
Hmm.
minus 25.
Yep. Clay was also a plus 8. I think there was a moment where the Warriors had just went on a run and Clay had capped it off with a 3 or something like that, and then he got yanked immediately. Probably Trayce got taken out at the same time with him, and then it was just like just not good results from there. So
Yeah, I just like, I understand. Like, look, I understand they were acting like really silly with the ball, and Clay, like Kerr rather, excuse me, Kerr rather wants CP3 in there, but I don't see a reason why you're not using Trayce to close. Like your best lineup is with Trey at the 5. It's your
Mhm.
best lineup. I understand the inexperience, but your best lineup is with him at the 5 and Dre at the 4. It is not bringing in Chris Paul to play
Right.
the 1 and moving Steph over and having him having to guard up. That is not your best lineup closing, even against most teams.
I agree. They seem to have this idea that like you need Chris Paul or you need pods out there um to help with the turnovers. But it's like they've played basketball, they've won championships without Chris Paul. You know what I mean? Like when
Right.
they
This
needed
new
to
thing, you don't need him. They just need to
yeah,
stop acting stupid.
exactly.
And and
They
and some of it too is also like about the system you're running and just teams ability to better guard it, right? So like they need to
mhm.
stop being careless, but it's also like
Just
just maybe
switch it
put
up
the
a little bit.
ball.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
put the ball in Steph's hands. Like
Right.
maybe stop trying to like run this motion so heavy.
Man, I think that's always an option. And like depending on the time of the game, time situation, unless it's like the last few possessions of the game, you can let Wiggs do some stuff. You can let Clay do some stuff in terms of like getting the ball and running a pick and roll. It doesn't have to always be just Steph for like 8 minutes straight in the fourth quarter, which is tiring him out. And it's just giving the other team ammunition to know what you're going to do so they can just trap him and take the ball out of his hands. Let other guys do some stuff. And it doesn't have to be Chris Paul doing those things. You can trust other dudes to make some plays like that. I mean, like,
I mean,
run the
I
ball.
really it's I'm confused about it because on one hand I'm like, is this just like playing up to Chris Paul because he's coming off the bench? But part of me thinks like Kerr really believes it. And it's like, I like, how did
Mhm.
you win all these years without Chris Paul? Like, this is idiot. Like,
He thinks Chris Paul's the new Andre, but it's like Andre was 6'7" and like could
right.
defend in multiple positions. And when Andre needed to come off the ball, he took his butt to the dunker spot and sat there. He ain't over dribble at the top of the key and try to take all the last second shots and all this type of stuff like Chris Paul's doing. It's like that's what made
You
him
are
right.
putting Steph out of position and you're making him guard up. It's not the right thing to do. I don't ever like that's just never the
Any
right
of them,
thing to do.
not even just Steph, all of them. Clay guarding fours, Draymond guarding fives. Like Draymond can guard fives, but he shouldn't be doing it this much. Wiggins guarding fours, right? Like Wiggins is his best attribute as a defender is him being able to be way bigger, but just as quick and just as athletic as the guards that he's guarding. When you put him on bigger players, it kind of takes away some of the value that he has defensively, and it makes him a little bit more tired. And then it highlights the fact that he's not the greatest rebounder out there when you compare him to other bigger players, right? That's why they get killed on the boards late in the game because they got all these dudes that are scaling up, but none of them are great rebounders. So how about you keep Trayce in the game who can rebound, and now Wiggins just got to out rebound the other team's shooting guard. Clay just got to out rebound the other team's small forward or something like that. Like it makes more sense that way. So I mean, hopefully he has his head screwed on straight and he doesn't do it because even today, Pods and CP3 together was killing them for a stretch of the game today. It's like, bro,
Right. And I mean, like today we understand like players were out, but I hope if they sorry, I just got a text message that was funny. Sorry about that, guys. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was reported before the game that uh Kerr said he wishes he had played TJ Trace more. Um, to be perfectly frank, this is a quote. To be perfectly frank, I wish I had played Trace a little bit more.
how many
End
times we gonna hear
quote.
this? How many times we gonna hear it, brother?
Trace was a team best plus 12, like we said, in 22 minutes. Um, so and the game shifted when he came out, and that was a pretty visible thing. It was
Yep.
a pretty visible thing. And on the timeline, everyone is tweeting and like, why is Trace out the game? Right. It's like it's concerning his inability to assess things in the game as they're happening. And if it's not that he lacks the ability to do that, his rigidity and insistence on just sticking to a game plan, even though it's not working, is equally as concerning, right? No, I just believe Chris Paul should play. No, I just believe Pod should play, even if they are not having the best and most impact.
Mm-hmm. It's gotten him into a lot of trouble this season.
And does not bode well in a one game do or die situation. So that's why that was my other second half of the point of like, well, it's good that he is at least now armed with this information. You know, one would hope because of the result of that game and losing last time that he will not do that and he will lean into playing Trayce as needed in that game.
Mm-hmm.
If they end up seeing the Pelicans, you need athletes versus the Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, playing anybody,
everybody, but yes.
Yeah, but especially against them.
Right.
They got
And granted, you also had no Kuminga that last game, but they didn't have Brandon Ingram. So it's still going to be slightly different, but they'll be armed with more pieces and more athleticism.
Yeah, and hopefully you have Gary this time to stick on guys like CJ if he's got it going, or, you know, just his overall defensive impact should be felt in that matchup. So
yeah, because if CJ ain't hitting like that, or the other guy, what's the other one?
If Zion is locked up, like Draymond had him locked up, and then you put somebody on CJ to kind of shut his water off, Trey Murphy, you go ahead and hit a few threes. Like, they won't have enough to beat the Warriors. So
I just don't want any like last year with the Lakers. What was that guy who's just hitting all them threes?
Who you talking about, Lonnie Walker?
Was it him?
That it wasn't even
like this man is never, and all of a sudden,
it's like, come on, man, this is not supposed to be your moment, man. You hitting hezzy pull-ups. Yeah, that one hurt right there. That one hurt. Who was the one? It was Xavier Tillman and Grayson Allen in the play-in against Memphis in 2021 who hit those
always
three.
Somebody. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I ain't ruling out Murphy. I need everybody accounted for because I'm not okay being like, it's okay. Murphy goes, nah, man, nah, bruh.
Yeah, he was hitting some bombs.
Don't let Thunder go because he was shooting like from the logo almost, man. Shit was crazy.
It's a guy the Warriors could have had, but hey, it is what it is. It's what it is.
Well, we're not at the point where we're at their second game. We're at the Kings game. So, but should they see, you know, the Kings, and should they see the Pelicans if they beat the Kings, you know, we think that they do have the ability to win that game. They have the pieces, you know, and if they can do it, whether it's beating the Kings and the Pelicans or the Kings and the Lakers, they would be on the opposite side of the bracket than the Denver Nuggets, which it would be a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
Huge win.
Definitely. I think they have the tools to compete or beat any team in the West for sure outside of Denver. I think it's not impossible for them to beat Denver, but I think they have a much better chance against all those other teams. So that would be that's very good for them that OKC got first. So it's like, okay, we're not going to go through all this just to end up playing Denver in the first round. We get OKC, which I think is actually a pretty good matchup for the Warriors. So,
and we will definitely be back to give you that full preview if they get there, people. So we're going to take this one game at a time. Now, if they end up for some reason winning versus the Kings, but having to see the Lakers in the second game, I got to tell you, I don't love now that they won those last two games against the Lakers. I don't like it when a team wins most of the games. We saw the games. I like when it's like, you know, but do or die situation in LA, Steph versus Bron.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the league
Repeat.
wants that though, actually. Like they'd like it for a day, but long term, I don't think they want that. I think they are hoping, didn't I say this other day? Suns make the 6, Kevin Durant stays in.
Hmm.
If the Lakers can win, they get 7, and then the Warriors getting 8. That would be a dream scenario for the league.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you definitely want a playoffs where it's Steph, Braun, Jokic, Luca, Kawhi, the OKC, and Minnesota. Like that's much better than the Pelicans and the Kings getting in. Like, let's just keep it real. Like Nuggets versus LeBron and AD and OKC versus Steph and the Warriors is just way more box office than any other outcome. So,
Um, yeah. The Suns are really set up nicely now though, because the Wolves lost.
mhm.
So Denver is the 2nd seed and they match up with the Wolves. And I feel like the Suns can beat the Wolves.
Yeah, they definitely can. I think that series might go 7. I think that the Timberwolves offense is a little when they get down to the nitty gritty. I trust KD and Book and Beal to generate higher quality looks offensively in a dogfight, but I do expect the Timberwolves to just kind of punish them on the glass, maybe. So I think it can go either way. That's why I'm gonna say toss up, but going 7.
But they're in a much better round though now. So they're in a much better situation though to get to a second round, right? And you could just have them facing Denver again
Hmm.
in the second round. Is that
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would play Denver. Yep. If
Or if
Denver,
somehow the Lakers pull off the unthinkable,
right?
if they get there and beat, assuming the Lakers make it to the 7th spot and they beat Denver, you get LeBron versus KD, which would also be pretty cool.
Yep. I mean, there's no scenario where you rather see the Pelicans or the Kings in there. So let's just hope both teams take care of business.
For sure, for sure. And getting Mavs Clippers is definitely a very good first round matchup.
Hmm. Producer Greg was just talking to me about it just seems like the Mavs and the Clippers always play each other in the first round, and it's always 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Luca might finally get over that hump. I think had they beat the Clippers once.
Nope.
Yeah, the Clippers got them every time, right? Yeah.
There was just that weird year where neither team won a home game until the final game,
Oh yeah.
where the Clippers had to win at home and they did.
Hmm.
But I kept saying there's a pattern. Like Luca gets done by the fourth quarter,
Yeah, and then they just
and
put the
in that
Terminator on
7th game, they were putting Kawhi on Luca more.
the
I was
Terminator.
talking about like Kawhi actually had the better series. Like people love Luca's gaudy numbers, but Kawhi was excellent during that series.
He is a monster. He's the one star that other star wings really don't want to see in a series because he can turn it up defensively and then he just don't miss. So that's going to be a great series. I mean, Harden versus Kyrie, they were once teammates. They got the Luca versus Kawhi thing. Paul George will make his impact. That's going to be a fun series. I have no clue who's going to win this series. I wouldn't even try to make a prediction yet. I'm going to say 7 again.
Yeah. This is why I said a lot of these series are going to go long.
Mhm.
So if it ends up being Warriors versus OKC, I saw some Dubs fans talking about 5 games. I don't think that's going to be no 5-game series, but I could be wrong.
Hopefully we're wrong. I don't think so either. 5, like Dubs in 5.
Yeah, I think that's a Dubs. You got to win it in 6. Not got to, but you don't want to have to go back to OKC for a game 7. I think they can do it, but
Mm.
you'd want to steal one in their home.
Mhm.
You'd want to steal one there and then just try to win your home games. Something that y'all have not been doing all season.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. To me, from just looking ahead, if they get there, knock on wood, it's looking like it's going to be split at game 5, 2-2.
Yeah,
That's what it's looking like to me. And then it's like best
best
of
of
three.
three.
Yeah. So I would say Warriors in 7. First playoff trip for the OKC. I can see them. I can see them getting a little tight in a game 7, even if it's at home.
I feel like the Warriors can win a game in OKC in one of those first two games. So, but you're saying you don't trust the Warriors to come back and hold down home court for those two games.
You're right. I think it might be possible they both split the for like win loss, something like that, like or
Because
loss.
they won the game in OKC this year.
Yeah, they can definitely go into OKC and beat them. They're better on the road than than at home this season. So
All right,
weird.
let's not get too far ahead. And then, but that, regardless, I don't think that's a short series.
No,
So,
I don't think so either.
so the only series that could potentially be short are Lakers and Denver. But I just feel like the pride factor ain't gonna let them get swept again this year.
Nah. And honestly, it was a close sweep. They got swept, but like 3 of the 4 games, it was like a 1 possession game or 1 or 2 possession game at the end.
Yeah. So
LeBron ran out of gas.
I still think like all the games. I told you, I think most of the games in the first round going 6, and you were like, but if the Lakers can do it, I guess it just depends on if it's the Kings or Pelicans that get in, if that changes. But if it's Warriors and Lakers who get in, I don't think it's going to be any short series.
No, no, I agree. I mean, I was assuming the Pelicans would get in at 6. That's why I was saying, well, if they get in at 6, they're gonna get cooked. But um, like you just said, the Lakers or Warriors, there's too much experience. You know, LeBron and AD, Steph, Draymond, Clay, like these guys have been there and done that too many times to just get wiped off the court. Now, Denver, if they just get hot again like they did, then okay, they might sweep the Lakers. But I wouldn't see the Warriors getting swept by OKC if they got there.
Yeah, there. Like I remember, I saw a tweet earlier in the year where someone was just like, "I feel very comfortable picking OKC versus the Warriors." That's like if I'm like, Steph has never lost a series in less than 6 games. Like this team is not beating the Warriors in no 5 games.
And it's like, have you watched the matchups between the Warriors and OKC?
Right. As like
Uh,
this, like
the,
yeah, the way those games even went down, like people are gonna totally be misled by what the series was this year. But no,
Mhm. Right. And those all of those games were before Trayce was even in the rotation.
right.
I think Draymond missed 2 of the losses. And
The
they had
Warriors
the
actually should have
same.
won that series 3-1.
They should have.
That's what
Exactly.
it should have been. It should have been 3-1
Yeah.
because they had 2 of those games in hand and just did like stupid ass blunders at the end of the game.
Exactly. I mean, at the very least 2-2, because the one game that they did win was a Steph game winner at the buzzer. So they literally 3 of the matchups where it was a serious game where they didn't sit Steph and Draymond. It was last possession. And this is before the Warriors really figured out what their best path forward was and their best lineups and combinations were. So the Warriors, you can argue, are even better now than they were then. You might be able to make that same argument for Thunder, but it's not going to be no easy series for the Thunder if they saw each other for sure. I don't know where that came from. That's crazy.
No, I think that's a silly notion. Um we don't even need, let's talk about the East for a second. We don't even need no playing game between the Bulls and the Hawks. Like they should just not, that should not even be a game.
Yeah,
Like
honestly, it's like you look at the play-in as a whole, and you're like, man, on one end, it's like, well, the Lakers and the Warriors have a chance, or like the Warriors have a chance to get in. So like we love to play in over on the West side because we got all these teams that's pushing 50 wins, and whoever can get in can get in. On the East is like, man, do we even need a play in? The 9 and 10 are just like, can
a
y'all
waste
just
of
go
time.
somewhere?
I am not
Yeah,
watching that game. That game is
hell
so
no.
nasty.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm gonna be so mad if the Heat or the Sixers let one of those two teams in.
right. Like, please,
It's
just for the sake.
interesting though, because you know, it's just very interesting because I mean, I think the Sixers are probably gonna win. So it's gonna suck because you're gonna get Sixers Knicks like in the first round.
Right.
And this is the path to the Bucks escaping getting beaten in the first round. And I don't like that. Except that Indy has given them problems all season.
With Giannis. And if
Yeah.
Giannis ain't playing, or if he's playing hurt, we saw what happened to them last year. Giannis, I mean, the Heat just went on a crazy run, but like Giannis wasn't 100%. He missed a few games or whatever. I got beat first round.
In Philly, I'm gonna take the Sixers over the Heat. So that would mean the Heat end up playing the Celtics in the first round. And the Celtics must just be so tired of this. I think they're gonna win it, but I just think like if there's anything to fuck with your head, it's definitely getting the Heat round one.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't be a close series, but it's just gonna be close.
You never know with them, with this matchup. You really never know.
I know. Like, I don't know what it is, man.
Jimmy's going to drink the Space Jam secret stuff for the playoffs again. And he's going to turn into Kawhi Leonard and Michael Jordan put together again. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how it goes this time. By all information we got this season, the Celtics should sweep them. But, like, we just know they just won't. Like, it's the Heat.
I mean, if we get a Sixers Celtics Eastern Conference Finals, I would like that because I mean, I do think they are technically. I mean, I do think they're the best two teams. Like, I know the Knicks would like want to have something to say about that, but debatably,
yeah.
But just one team has Joel Embiid, and like, you know, I don't think the best player is better than Jason Tatum or Joel Embiid.
Right. No, we want to see the heavy hitters like at the end. We don't want to see the cool stories and stuff like that. Like the Knicks, I mean, maybe if the Knicks had Randall, like they had their full team. It's like, okay, let's see what they can do, but they don't. So let's see Embiid, please. Like Embiid and Tatum. We might get them in the first round. If the Heat beat them and then they play whoever is from that 9-10, we might get Philly and Boston in the first round.
Oh, yes, if Philly loses. But I definitely don't want that. So I don't want that because I want Philly and Boston later. I want like a real Eastern Conference Finals.
I know. But yeah, if that happens, then probably most likely it's
because the 4 and the 5 are Cleveland and Orlando, which I feel like is a pick'em series.
Yeah. Just looking at it, I would probably pick Orlando.
Really?
Yeah, I think their defense is going to just completely lock the Cavs down. Cavs are probably a little bit too small on the perimeter and a little bit too soft on the interior. Even though they have size, they're a little soft. So I think Orlando would just probably beat them, but I could be wrong.
So you have that, and then I really want the Pacers to upset the Bucks. That's what I need.
It's possible. Like you said, if Giannis ain't playing, Hallie and Siakam and Miles Turner and that offense can definitely beat them. Dame is looking very, well, at the end of his career. Not at the end of his career, at the end of his prime right now. So they can be beat. They can be beat with Giannis. So we've seen a record with Doc Rivers.
For sure.
So that's going to be an interesting period for sure. And they were already giving them issues before all this stuff happened.
Yeah, because that would be who the Celtics, in theory, would see in the second round, right? It would be someone.
That would be Orlando, Cleveland.
Oh yeah. They would have like a real that would be easy. It would be the Sixers seeing the Pacers.
Yeah, if they beat the Knicks, in the first round, they would probably see the Pacers.
I need it to be. I think everyone wants that. I think Heat Celtics first round because I mean, there's just not that many matchups here that I'm interested in. Like,
yeah, the East is a joke.
Excuse me, like Celtics Heat is just interesting because of all the back stuff, but this version of the Heat isn't that great. But who knows? They weren't that great last year either, and then they started doing silliness in the postseason. So, and then like I'm not interested in the Bucks team. This Bucks team is fraudulent. So, like, the
Yep.
Sixers are really the only other team that I'm interested in. Because I actually thought, like, when Joel was there and with Embiid, like, people kept saying, like, they don't have enough, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like the Sixers team is really good with Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's
Full
still
strength. Yeah.
young, but I think he's really good. So, I know Tobias has not been very reliable, but they're better than decent. So I don't expect them to beat the Celtics if they do end up in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the Celtics have seemed to have the Sixers number for a while, but I think that would be a good series.
Yeah. I do too. I mean, they got
If
Embiid.
Embiid
Embiid,
can get there, that will at least, get the he's never even made the conference finals off his back.
right.
And if you push the Celtics, I think, considering like you've been out, like I think like he will get props for that.
For sure. For sure. I mean, like, he would be the best player in the series. Like,
Right. I've said that. I'm like, he still would be the best player in the series.
right. And that matters. So, like, the talent gap may be closed a little bit considering that if he just completely outclasses everybody else, which is possible, right? Tatum has definitely had his way with the Sixers over the course of his career. But if Embiid just takes the series by the hands and, what I mean, like, just imposes will, anything can happen, and you can definitely get earn some stripes from that. Like if you push this team, the Celtics, like as good as they've been all season, push them to 7 or even beat them or something like that. Like I think a lot of the labels on Embiid would be kind of stripped away.
And the Celtics have shown a propensity to just still be silly in late game situations when it's tight. Still, this
De-
version that's won 64 games, they still do it.
Definitely. I mean, it all boils down to Tatum. It's like, and when he or if he ever takes that leap and becomes a decision maker and the offensive player of caliber of the top guys, then they'll be a lot more scary, and I think people will take them a lot more serious. But until then, it's always going to be in the back of people's minds. Like if it get tight, they're going to fold. They're going to turn it over. Tatum going to dribble it off his foot or something like that. Like JB is going to go left and lose the ball. All these labels is still there until they remove them.
It would somehow be crazy though if like the Sixers did find a way to make it out the East and people got the Joel versus Jokic matchup they've sort of been dreaming about that they don't get in the regular season. Cause
That was
like
crazy.
if Embiid gets a chance to beat Jokic and get that finals MVP,
That would be nuts. That
can't
would
keep
be nuts.
calling, can't keep just saying Jokic is the best and clear and da 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 da.
Mhm.
I'm not saying they would, but like he sort of owns
It's a
it, I
weird
guess.
dynamic. Yeah, it's a weird dynamic with them too because like against the other 28 teams, so you're probably going to take Jokic, right, with his impact over the course of a season. But in that specific matchup, one-on-one, I think Joel is the specific type of player that like Jokic don't want to play against, right? Like he can't just completely bully him to the rim for post ups and stuff like that. And Joel is so good defensively that he can just completely take away the rim from other guys too. So the passing is kind of negated. And then
And both of them get foul calls, Joel
both of them get
especially.
calls, and Jokic has no chance of checking Embiid one-on-one. Can't guard him off the dribble, can barely guard him on the block. He's too athletic, too skilled. So he's the one center in the league that can really make Jokic kind of sweat a little bit on the defensive end. Uh, so
That would be an incredible turnaround for a season after having to miss so much, losing out on MVP potentially because you got hurt to come back and beat current
yeah, who's
MVP.
probably going to be the actual MVP this season? That would be a crazy storyline right there.
It would.
Yeah,
It would. I mean, the Sixers have to prove themselves too in late situations because they do a lot of stupid shit too. So I just don't know. But all potentials for things to happen. So I just need the Celtics and Sixers ultimately in that Eastern Conference Finals. I ain't trying to see nobody else in the Eastern Conference Finals. Ain't none of them teams I feel like watching.
nope, not at all, not at all. Um,
Yeah, the East will definitely be a much less interesting playoffs, but there will be some in there that can be good.
Hopefully.
There will be some in there that could be good. Well, I mean, we've talked about the East, we've talked about the West, we've talked about the potential here. I mean, we're trying not to look too far ahead, guys. Again, we're not being cocky. There's only so much we can say about Warriors Kings. These two, Draymond said it in the post game. Like both these two teams know each other very well. They've played so many times now. It's
Hmm.
always a playoff atmosphere. So I mean, you guys have seen the matchup over and over and over again. Loon is less likely to be a factor in this one. I hope. I hope Steve Kerr isn't getting any bright ideas.
Can't put it past him.
You can't.
Yeah, I think Trayce is ready. So the only time we've seen Trayce against the Kings, I think, was preseason, and I think he was actually killing out there in the preseason. So don't overthink it. Don't galaxy brain it. Go out there, play solid basketball, and you will probably win. You're the better team. You got the best player.
Yes, I really need them to have like a win start to finish. Like I need them to like come out and handle business and like run up that score, because if you can do that, and I know they like to lose leads, but if you can do that, try to give yourself like an easy night.
Mm-hmm. Yep, do that because you got to travel most likely. Well, if
You're traveling either way, but obviously the trip to LA is much shorter. But
right,
like,
you're probably gonna have to travel
your
more.
hope is, I don't know who they hope wins, but like the hope is, I guess, that the Lakers win, but like maybe it's like a really tough game and the Pels get banged up and exert a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah,
Grant is
that'd be
very
great.
young, but Brandon Ingram's only a couple games back. He's not going to be in full game shape.
Exactly. You want them down to the wire because they're gonna be at home for both games, but you want them down to the wire, a little bit gassed, maybe feeling themselves a little bit because of what they did Friday night.
Right.
When you go in there and smack him in the mouth early, CJ gonna fold. We know he gonna fold. So it's just a matter of taking care of business.
My tweets will be so nasty towards CJ that
Mm-hmm.
night if the Warriors win, yo.
Yeah, yeah. He one of those talk while he up guys. That's lame.
Front running ass.
Yeah, that's super lame. So, yep, it'll be nice to continue the streak of CJ McCollum never winning a game against the Warriors in the postseason in his career.
No, that's versus Steph.
Versus Steph, my bad.
Yes, but
Yeah,
they haven't won
they
many
beat the
versus the
Stephless.
Warriors either.
Yeah. They won one game, I think, against the Stephless.
That's crazy, yo.
Insane. I think Anthony Davis got a crazy streak too. I think he didn't win a single game against the Warriors or against Steph like until this past postseason or something like that. I don't know.
Do we have any updates on Curry's ankle?
I think they said before this game that he's ready to he's good to go, but they just decided to rest him. Like if he had to play today, he would have played.
Yeah, I'm looking. Kendra Andrews. Kerr said Curry could play if he needed, and his ankle is fine after tweaking it Friday, but they're approaching today as if they have 3 games next week. So wanted to make sure Curry gets rest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. They still seem to be uncertain about GP2. If they do get him back, you think it's much more critical to have him for a potential game against the Pelicans than the Kings, or no?
Definitely Pelicans. When with Monk and Herder out, you need GP2 a little bit less. You really need a GP2 for Monk, but without him playing, I think you can afford to sit him if he's not 100%. Because there's really nobody else on that team that's really scaring you off the dribble, but De'Aaron Fox, and you have Wiggins for him. So you have Draymond for him if they want to even put Draymond on him. So you don't really need GP2 that much. Yeah. But for the Pelicans, they got multiple guys who can handle the ball. So you want to put GP2 on those guys.
if the Warriors were to end up seeing Dallas in the second round, if they get that far, I wonder how Dallas fans would feel because they have like Andrew Wiggins, like
Oh, they have like PTSD with Andrew Wiggins.
yeah. I mean, some of them want like our girl SJ. She wanted the Warriors badly to trade Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, like to her
He
to
still
the
plays.
Mavs.
He still plays the Mavs
Yeah,
pretty
he
good.
plays them really well.
That's like one of his things. Yeah, I think that'd be a good matchup if they saw them.
We know if it's Clippers, Ty Lue is. We already know what kind of defense he running on Steph.
Yeah.
He's annoying.
The thing is, with Harden on the court and even Zubac and stuff like that, even if you're running that junk defense against Steph, it's going to be a hole somewhere in the defense because of those two. So
I still hate it. It's annoying.
it is very annoying.
I'm not in the mood to see if the Warriors do make it. I don't know which one which match. I guess it depends because it also depends. Like, is Kawhi going to be playing? And we don't know. We're gonna find out what his health is like. So to be determined. But I
Mm.
hate the way that Ty Lue guards Steph. Less
Mhm.
travel with the Clippers, though.
True. I think the Clippers would be a more favorable matchup. One, because of the questions of Kawhi's health.
Oh, and then you got Kyrie too, because the Warriors always act stupid when Kyrie's there. Like they don't want to
Hmm.
they think they can guard him straight up when he's on a heater.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I would rather see the Clippers than the Mavericks for sure.
Well, we'll see. We'll
We
see
will
what
see.
happens. I think this is the year though that the Mavericks get the Clippers.
I think so too.
They got the team to do it.
They got a way better team. They got more size. Luca is better than he was than when the last time they saw. Kyrie is Kyrie. But you never know. Playoff Kyrie is it's not as good as he would say he is.
No, he's not. He just has like these certain games, but like if you look over the course of like series in his playoff career,
If you look since he left the Cavs, it's been real iffy. It's been real iffy. But he's with Luca now, who's very similar to LeBron offensively in terms of being able to
but
take
even
in a lot of.
with LeBron, like in that series, when you go back to 2016, Kyrie didn't really show up to those later games
Yeah,
in 2016.
he
Like
was limited to
2015,
that.
everyone just talks about the first game, how he was going off, got hurt. Okay, true. But the second year, like it was like, where's Kyrie? He
Hmm.
wasn't making no noise in them first few games.
He's running into that bogey wall at the rim.
Yeah.
Him and LeBron.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why like we always talk about how underrated the Bogut loss is.
yeah,
It's significant.
yeah. That fucking series, man.
I've never went back and watched that game 7.
Never.
I don't know how people tell
I've
like
never watched a single second of that series again, other than when it's involuntary. They put it a highlight on the TV or something. Never.
never. I won't look at it.
Yeah.
But for sure, like I know that he was not going off in those. Like his stats were like over the series, if you average them out, they were still good, but that's because they were so crazy those
Hmm.
final 3 games.
True. True. So
And Bogut went down in game 5.
yeah, he's a question mark. So, but I think I would still give the edge to the Mavericks.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Just because they've improved their team. If it was the Mavericks before the trade, they may not even be in this spot if it was the Mavericks before the trade. But
Hmm.
post-trade Mavericks, they're pretty good.
Yeah. And the Clippers went on a tear when they made their trade, but they came right back down to earth. And Kawhi, it's like, is he even playing? So
We don't know, but we will find out. I saw a tweet from our girl SJ who was like, all I know is the Mavs better get the primetime game. And I was like, now you know, if it is the Warriors who ends up versus OKC, y'all ain't getting no primetime game.
right. Like,
But
come
someone
on.
else said it to her too. She like roll her eyes. She know that's true.
They know, Steph is always a draw. Like they're trying to make Luka the next face of the league so bad. It's not gonna happen.
Because it's Wemby.
It's gonna be Wemby. It's gonna be like, come on now. I don't even
And
think
he,
Luka's
he
much of
has a more natural personality for it. I always said
exactly.
that, like Luca. I've been saying for years, Luca is not going to be the face, and people just be like, "Oh, you're just saying that because he's white." No, I'm saying that because he does not have the personality.
He doesn't. He's
I'm
also
just saying
very
that
like,
about multiple players. Like all these guys, if people keep saying next, I'm just like, it's organic, and
mhm,
you need the personality, and none of them have the personality. Like even if you want to say the only one who even remotely comes close to having the personality is Ant, but he doesn't have the game. Like Ant is going to be
right,
like a really, really very good player, but he's still not that
mhm,
level of player.
right,
Will he be? I don't know, but right now he's not.
right. You need to have the personality. You need to be at least a top 3 player in the league, or probably the best player in the league. And your game needs to be explosive to the point where it's like a bunch of people draw. It draws a bunch of eyes, right? Steph had that type of game. LeBron had that type of game. Very exciting, athletic player. Luka don't got that type of game.
No.
It's
And if
very
people
slow,
think
methodical.
if
Same thing with
people think
Jokic.
like, oh, it's San Antonio, it doesn't matter because Tim Duncan didn't have that kind of personality, but Wemby does.
Hmm.
He has good quotables after like every game, and he
Hmm.
shows so much more. Like when he was told that stat about like the 5x5, and he's like, "Was I the only one who did it in a loss?" Like that is so
Hmm.
great because like he's already on that like I want to win.
Hmm.
Like they were happy to play spoiler to Denver getting the 1 seed the other night. You know what I'm saying? Like he was ecstatic. Versus the Knicks, he's throwing balls into
Yep.
the arena. Like he has the personality, and then on top of it, like his game is he's an alien. Like
Boom.
it's Wemby. It's absolutely for sure Wemby. And then
Hmm.
the others will fall in line around him, the other guys. I always tell people so it was never Giannis. People like, the phobia. Like, no, this is not because he is like international. Bro, like these guys don't have there's a charisma there or Riz, that's what the young kids say, right? Like
Right.
there's a thing, there's a it factor, there's an it component that comes with it. That's why
Yeah.
I hate when people are like always arguing to me about Caitlin Clark. Like, I don't get it. Like, I get that. I'm not saying she doesn't have it. What I'm saying is there are other players who also have it, and the media just willfully overlooks them, which is different. Like, this is not the same thing in the NBA, where like you're not going to tell me Juju Watkins don't have an it factor, right? Like there's other players, black players in
Hmm.
women's basketball who have all that. You're not going to tell me Maya Moore was not a fucking exciting player. Like that, you're just lying, right?
Right.
Like the point is that the women's basketball has coverage issues. So it's not that Caitlin Clark is not one of those ones. It's that there's others too, and they're not highlighting them. They're not showing them to you. They're not putting them in the media. So that's what I've been debating about for weeks. But it's not that I don't understand it factor. Like, I'm sorry, Luca, no it factor. Giannis, no it factor. And in general, bigs are harder because people um they like finesse players in general.
Hmm.
That's not new. That's why, like, even though Magic was like a tall point guard, it was all the flashy, dazzling passes. Like, his game was spectacular and amazing to watch. I don't have to
Hmm.
explain Michael Jordan's game, right? It's like we understand why, like, Steph took off. Like, if we're being real, like LeBron was sort of a default face because there was like a very extended period of time where no one was around. And I'm not saying that he still couldn't be the best player in the world, but like he's not the prototypical in terms of the way his game is, what people usually like react to. They like guard play, they like the finesse players, they like Allen Iverson, they like there's like a certain kind of play that like casual fans really respond to.
And there's even a level of finesse with LeBron with his passing, similar to Magic. It's like
I hate when
he ain't doing the Magic passes. But what I'm saying is like he can pass at a high level, and that's his finesse. Like other than that, it was definitely very much like I'm getting to the rim. I'm the best athlete out here rather than like the most skilled guy. But to your point, like he had a element of finesse to his game too that made his game a little bit more, you know, flashy to the casual, viewer and stuff like that to make him the face. And then he's always had the media skills and stuff, the way that a lot of these guys don't have. But Wemby does have it.
Wemby does have it. He does
Right.
have it. And he's doing some ridiculous things. He's like shooting from 3 out.
Yeah, he's crazy.
He scored a crazy amount of points in a short amount of minutes.
Yeah, it's like 17 in 3 minutes or something like that.
He's blocking all kinds of shots. He's it's gonna be cool watching him, and because the media hasn't like turned me off from him. He seems like a very likable person. So, I don't know how the other guys are gonna embrace him when he starts to really, but he's clearly the next face.
Yeah.
And you have time still because Kevin and Bron and Steph are still, though I would always say Kevin's a little lower in terms of like, but it's still the 3 of theirs. Like these other guys haven't taken over, even though they might be better players at this stage of their careers.
Yeah, I'd say it's Steph and Bron.
Yeah, I've always said it was like Steph and Bron as co-faces, but you kind of throw like Kevin Durant in there as this like third character.
He J. Cole to their Drake and Kendrick.
No, because we're not going to disrespect J. Cole like that. Okay. I know he walked back his diss, but no, please.
I like J. Cole, so I'm not going to do that.
You're not going to disrespect J. Cole like that. So, yeah. Aubrey's the one calling racism, and we talking about J. Cole on the house. Don't cape for your mans.
No, I don't really argue with Drake like that. But I mean, I like his music.
Why are we saying he's on the out then? Don't be trying to disrespect J. Cole.
He is on the out though.
No, he's not.
He's on the outside.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No.
Not as a talented artist, but I'm just saying popularity and all that other stuff. I think he got.
Well, it's not his fault, y'all. Negroes don't.
Yo. Hey, Greg is going crazy right now behind the screen.
It is not his fault, y'all. DEIs are not respecting the lyricism because he is a lyricist. Yes, exactly. Producer Greg.
Oh man. That's pretty funny.
Oh, and that was completely natural too. It was not even like
leave it in.
No, don't. Definitely don't.
No Diddy.
Or you can just like bleep it so like people get the funny part, but like definitely don't leave it unbleeped. But yeah, it's definitely Steph and Bron, and Steph I think still has a couple of years even after Bron is done. So, and if they really do, I mean, we've been joking about it, right? But like I think it is actually possible, like even if it's a long shot. But I think at some point that Giannis trade request is coming, right? And for Giannis, one thing we definitely know, the Warriors are going to try to put themselves in that mix. It doesn't mean they will get him, but for all the fans who complain the Warriors don't try to get nobody, if Giannis says he wants to trade, the Warriors will try to get him. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that he would end up there. But my point is, if Steph does get that kind of player next to him at this stage of his career, that's going to extend his career. Just the same way that Magic extended Kareem's career, right? Like if you have another great player like that next to you in the later years of your career, your longevity can go longer.
Definitely. I mean, he would be the AD, but just better. And
right.
Yeah, it would make it a lot easier for Steph, especially considering how complementary their games are. The way that
Yep.
people try to talk up Dame and Giannis, like it would be the real version of what that's supposed to be.
Right. And I think we can stop all the if Dame had what Steph had talk because
Mm,
we told y'all it would not
mm.
look the same. Yeah. Yeah. So sorry. I know Bay Area don't want to hear that. I know Oakland don't want to hear that. But yeah, Dame is not helping the Bucks win no championship. That's not happening.
I agree.
And if that's not clear as day, like I don't know what kind of lies and stories they gonna tell themselves. Fire another coach. Do like everybody's getting older on that team.
Facts.
And they don't even got the money to bring in nobody else.
Cool.
Meanwhile, Drew getting that extension.
Mm,
Crazy turn of events.
mm.
So, but you put the right player next to Steph and it extends his career. So I think you got like another year at least of Steph at a high level, you know, and then like even if he's a little lesser level, it's like Braun. You get to see the highest level of Braun because he doesn't have to like show up like that every night.
Right.
And you
Exactly.
can still get that from Steph, where you get that version of him. I think Steph is not going to be pleased with how some of his shooting went to end this season. So I expect next year is going to just be a better shooting season for him, but the Warriors will have to put things around him to make it better. And we will see. Will the playoffs result in a trade request? Or are they going to go after some of those players who they didn't go after at the deadline, like DeJounte Murray,
Hmm.
for example? To be determined. Because the playoffs always make people available who wasn't going to be available before.
That's true. That's true. I just don't want them to like not do anything. That would be the worst outcome.
I mean, I think they're definitely going to do something, but I just don't know what. It's like, who do you go after?
Right.
Because the free agents are not like that.
Yeah, I don't even think they can. Yeah, they can't even get anybody through free agency anyway. So it's like let's.
Well, mid levels, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, I
Mhm.
believe they can do one of the mid levels because they're under, right? They'll be under whatever that is. So, but just the people that they can sign are not going to be the kind of changes that are enough
Right.
to be needed. So it would have to be like a trade, and
For sure.
we don't know who's going to be available.
Right.
So to be determined. To be determined. All right. So we're back live in effect after the first playing game. We'll
We
see.
are.
We'll see if the Warriors season will be continuing or if it will be ending. But we believe.
We believe.
We believe. We
Taking
believe.
it back. We believe. Yeah, we going. Nah, they're gonna do it. I think that's a good matchup for them. And yeah, we'll discuss it. Was it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday. All right. Well, vibe check before we go.
The Warriors are in the postseason, so we're gonna start out high. We'll give them a nice 8.5.
Oh,
But
eight and a half.
they got into the postseason. Whether they get into the playoffs, it's to be determined. But yeah, I think they should be feeling good. I think they
Are
should
we
be feeling
considering
good.
the play in the postseason now?
Yeah, I mean it's after the regular season, so it's got to be the postseason. It's just that weird little middle area. So
They don't save any of these games anywhere.
true. I'll try to go back and find some. Like yeah,
Yeah.
it's very weird. So,
It's all in
they
our
made it through.
memory. People are
Yeah,
gonna later be like, these games never happened, just like that Wilt 100-point
yeah.
game.
Where the
There's
footage?
no
Where's
proof
the
of
score? Exactly. Where's the box score at?
them. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in with us. Hope you enjoyed this Golden Spaces. The vibes were good. It was good to be back, Justin. Missed you definitely for sure.
Same here. We got to make sure we give the people what they want. We missed Karima today, but
Yes. Well, we'll definitely be here. Postseason, we in here like swimwear. So you got us. You got us, and Karima will be back soon, and it'll be a trifecta. So
mhm.
thank you for tuning in with us, y'all. Appreciate you. Come on, playoffs are a new season, so let's get there. Everyone starts zero. Squad is much better than they were
Mhm.
before. Second best record, I believe, still in the league since the end of January. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not the same team. So it's time to believe, all right, y'all. So let's go Dubs. Let's go Dubs. Listen, make sure y'all are following us Instagram and Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, at Golden Spaces Pod. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube as well, under 95.7 The Game's YouTube channel. That's where you can find us. If you're subscribed, you'll get the notification when this episode goes up and every other episode goes up. Make sure you're also leaving us a 5-star rating or a positive review. Do both. We like that. And share, tell a friend, let them know about Golden Spaces. We appreciate y'all doing that, and we appreciate y'all tuning in. We appreciate the support, and we're here to bring you this content. So let a friend know. Until next time, guys, take care.